Ooh. Hey guys, welcome back to another video on the Inside Spurs channel, and welcome to obviously the preview of Spurs versus Manchester City. So we're talking about the game. We'll be talking about. I don't really want to talk about last night. We'll have a quick little chat about it. I finally did. I know a lot of you on the video asked me about the Postecoglou away fans toxicity. I don't know what you want to call it. I finally did see it, so we'll talk about that quickly as well. But look, we're here obviously now to move on, and the key thing is today is to move on and look ahead to the Chelsea game. It is a London derby. It's obviously one of the fiercest games of the season. No matter if you're playing well, poorly, or you're playing the best, or you're playing the worst football possible, derbies across the board are always about who wants it more. You know, so let's have a quick chat about this game, because this game obviously last year. Now we're talking about last year, the Spurs home game. So let's not talk about the Spurs when we went to the Bridge. Let's talk about Spurs game at home. And obviously Pochettino was in charge last season, and it was a game I think last season that I feel like we went into it a little bit too amped, a little bit too hyped, a little bit too up for it. Because I think when I think about back to the game, it was about Poch is coming home. Poch is a traitor for going to Chelsea. We need to do him, and it was we're top of the league, we're flying, we're cooking, we're unreal. And I think we got a little bit too ahead of our skis, and we tripped and fell. Now, what didn't help in that game is, yes, you lose Mickey van der Ven to a long-term injury. You lose James Maddison to a long-term injury. You lose Christian Romero to a 3-game ban due to the red card. Which, by the way, you see that tackle so regularly in the Premier League now, and it's barely a booking at times. So that's always quite the irony to it all, isn't it? But it's Romero, so he's nasty. He's a bad guy, and he has an attitude, and he also has a reputation, even though he gets less yellow cards than managers. But hey, this game, I think, is, like I put, it is a revenge or more of the same. Is it revenge from last season home game where Spurs obviously lost 4-1 with 9 men, and to be honest, we're probably the better team still? Or is it more of the same in regards to Spurs' form at the moment? Is it the same as, really we've won 1 in 5? Now, yes, that one was obviously beating Man City and beating them comprehensively, but Ipswich is in there, obviously Bournemouth last night's in there, Fulham's in there, Roma's in there. 2 losses, 2 draws and a win. Form wise, not good enough. Now, yes, injuries play a part in that, but you'd expect to have at least won, probably more than one, especially if that one was Man City. Now, fair enough, if that one wasn't Man City and it was Ipswich, maybe a different story. But you won the hardest game of them all. Even Man City, bang out of form, are still better than all those teams. Now, obviously, Bournemouth, ironically, beat Man City at home. And I was right. They did beat, actually, Arsenal at home. I was right on that. But, I'm looking forward to this game, because the beautiful thing about playing games so frequently is the ability to rectify and the ability to bounce back really quickly, because you have that opportunity. That's the beautiful thing about this season compared to last season. When things weren't going well, it was like we played in a week's time. We festered on that loss. With the irony to this season, and maybe playing 2 or 3 games a week isn't what we need, but the irony to it is you have a chance to redeem yourself with only days worth of time. So there is that. Morning Spurs, morning Jazz. Has anyone recovered? I've recovered. That was yesterday. Today's today. You forget about yesterday's game if possible and you move forward. Morning Sonia, how are you? Will he be back, Romero, or does the medical team need even more time? Hope Romero showed more passion for Spurs as much as he does Argentina. He did show passion for Spurs because he played injured against Ipswich. Well, supposedly he was doing physio this week. And supposedly should train today or do some work today. Look, we're not winning this game if he doesn't play. Full stop. Bank it. Put your money on Chelsea, because you're going into this game with 1 centre-back. That's the key thing in all this. Ill preparation from higher ups to develop and put out a squad that's ready to go. We only have Radu Jagajin. We have no other centre-backs. I don't want to hear about Alfie Dorrington. He's not played in the Premier League before. Ben Davies is also a left-back who then plays centre-back. He's still a left-back by trade. Radu is the only out-and-out centre-back we have now. We're still not going to have Mickey for a little while. Romero has to play. And I hope he does play, because this is, I also think this is a revenge and redemption for Romero, because obviously this game last year, he got sent off. You know, we lose Mickey, we lose Maddison that game, and we lose Romero. Romero, I think, will want to play this game, because this is a game that he probably thinks back to last year and goes, I let the team down. And regardless of what you think, if he's passionate about Spurs or not, you as a leader of a team have pride in yourself, at least. And that was a game that he said, I've let myself down there. In turn, I've let everyone else down. If this is at the worst case scenario, I don't think he thinks like this. I think he thinks I mucked up there for the team and the club. He'll want to get right, and he's going to want to go out there and show everyone, I'm still a Rolls Royce. Let me show you what I'm about. Porro plays better when Romero's next to him. You know, I think actually the players in front of him, like a Basuma and Sarr, play so much better when Romero's in front of him. I really think, miss Romero's ability to play through the lines, you know, to pick a pass or two. His ability to play out from the back is so unbelievably missed in this team. I think defensively, Davies and Dragoshin have done very well, all things considered. But the one thing that we've truly missed is his ability to pick a pass and play out from the back. And he's going to be needed. He's going to be needed because we are playing a Chelsea side who have about 400 million players per position. And they have rested a lot of their players from midweek. And in midweek, they still slapped Southampton 5-1. So he is going to be needed massively. And he is a welcomed return if he is fit and ready to go. Spence needs a chance to play. I don't think Ange rates Spence, mate, if I'm honest, Stephen. It's a sad fact, but I don't think he does. Now, ironically, let's quickly jump onto this and then we're going to move into the team. Unacceptable. Unacceptable, the abuse, in my opinion. You don't have to be Ange in. You can be Ange out even. You can dislike some of the decisions he makes, but verbal abuse is never the answer, and it's not okay. If I turn up to your workplace and shouted the things that they shouted at Ange Postecoglou yesterday, you'd be fuming. You'd be upset. Just because you pay money doesn't mean you get to speak to another human being like that. Not at all. Not at all. It's like me getting on a train, opening up the door to the driver and me slagging him off because he's 1 minute late to a train station. Just because you pay for a ticket doesn't mean you get to give abuse. It's not acceptable. And yeah, Jazz, the only person that supported Ange was Spence. And he went over, pulled him away. And I thought, interesting. Yeah, this is a guy who, in theory, has been kind of killed by the manager a little bit. I rate that. I rate that. The other thing here, people go, well, there was no Son or Maddison. The one thing I did say and see was Son telling the players, we go to the away fans, come on. And a few of those players did not want to go to those away fans. That is unacceptable. Now, they may give abuse to Ange Postecoglou, and that is unacceptable. But they have paid money. They have come to this game to support you. They've had to witness what they witnessed for 90 minutes. The least you could do is go over and clap them. Now, if they give you abuse, different story. But the least you do is go over it, you know. So I'm going to move on from this. Those people are in the wrong for the abuse they give. And because they think they spend money, they think they're entitled to it. They're not. And if you think they are, I'm worried about you as a human being. Not as a fan, as a human being. Anyway, let's move on. Let's move on. I want to talk about Spurs' predicted team because this is unfortunately rather easy to work out, barring one or two positions because of the lack of bodies. And this, it's a cruel world, what the injuries that we have. You know, we obviously weren't prepared and the higher-ups failed this squad and manager and coaches. So in goal, Fraser Forster. Ironically, was actually quite good yesterday. He's going to be busy. He's going to be busy against Chelsea. I can promise you that. Left back will be Destiny. Again, have no left back, so he has to play. Right back will be Pedro Porro. Has to play, you know. Centre backs, I'm going to sit here and pray for Christian Romero and Dragojin. That's the only way I can sit here and say, because if it's not Romero, then it's Archie Gray, and he's a central midfielder who's somewhat a right back who's now having to play centre half. And if you don't think Ange's being let down by higher ups, I'm worried about you as a person again. Sorry, let me put it up here because I actually have it here. Okay. Let me get rid of that. Let me bring this up. There we go. So look, you see on the ticker below, that's my team that I've gone out with, and I will explain it a bit more. Obviously, Bissar and Maddison in the midfield. I think Son, Solanke, and Kulu. The only one that you could see being dropped there, I wouldn't be playing Maddison and Kulu in the midfield together. Chelsea will get on the ball. Chelsea will play their football, and they are playing good football at the moment. We need the ability to at least press or tackle, and I think Sarr has to play. Now, I don't think Pape was great yesterday, but I think in a game like Sunday, I think it could be the perfect example why Pape has to play. I put Kulu out on the right because I think Johnson was... I mean, look, Johnson and Kulu were two of the worst players yesterday. They weren't good enough. But we're going to have to defend at points. We're going to have to work hard. And I like Kulu's work rate over Johnson's. I think the ability to maybe bring Johnson on in the 60th minute when maybe the left back is a bit more tired, I assume it'd be Cucurella. And the ability to maybe use that pace will be necessary. But I like the ability and the work rate from Kulu. And then that front three of Son, Solanke, and Kulu will work very hard. We looked so much better when Sonny came on, by the way. Created opportunities. You know, Maddison should have scored. Sonny was working hard. Link-up play was decent. We looked like we had energy because of him. We were sorely lacking that energy, and we looked like we had something with him. So that's my 11. Obviously, let me know what you guys think of your 11 is down below. But that's sort of what I've gone with. Chelsea's team. This one's obviously difficult because, like I said, they've got a lot of players in their squad. And I'm going to compare the Aston Villa 3-0 win on the 1st of December, so 5 days ago, and obviously Southampton a couple of days ago. So in goal, they had Sanchez, they had Cucurella at left back, Levi, Colwill, and Fofana at centre back. They on the webpage, they have Moises Caicedo at right back. I didn't watch the game, so maybe he was. The midfield two of Lavia and Fernandez. Lavia has he's gotten fit and he is playing well. The three behind Nicholas Jackson was Sancho on the left, Palmer in the centre, and the man that Spurs mucked around for ages, Pedro Neto. He should be a Spurs player, but we mucked that deal up, didn't we? Just like Levy mucked up Eze and mucked up Gallagher, two players that ironically are fit. Well, Eze, I don't think he's fit. I think he's been injured, but Gallagher's fit and he'd be a bloody body right now that we could use. But wages. When I look at the Southampton game, obviously, they made a lot of changes for Southampton. Like I said, they won 5-1 away. They were 3-1 up, and then obviously Jack Stevens got sent off for pulling Cucurella's hair. When I looked at that team, I mean, Jorgensen was in goal. Cucurella, Tosin, another player that Spurs tried to get, Disasi and Gusto at right back. I assume Gusto will probably play again, if I'm honest. Caicedo and Fernandez as your holding midfielders. Felix, Palmer, Madueke, and Nkunku. You would think, even though Nkunku scored, you'd probably say Jackson will come back in for him. I think they'll either go João Felix or Pedro Neto. They'll go Palmer. Madueke will play. Madueke has been one of their best players, I think. He'll play. I can see Caicedo and Fernandez starting, to be fair. The back four, Cucurella, you'd say. Colwill. Is Fofana healthy and fit? If Fofana's not healthy or fit, I'd say Disasi or Tosin. And then I think right back will be Gusto. And in goal, would they go Robert Sanchez back in the team? Maybe. So isn't Son the captain? If they don't listen to him, then what? Well, yeah, exactly. Lack of character. Lack of steel, if you know what I mean. We've got to bring in some starters in January to go straight into the starting lineup and competition. Well, we need... I mean, look, between now and the end of the summer, we're going to need so many players. I thought we had done a better job at clearing out Deadwood, bringing in more Ange-like players. Oh my God, we have so much more work to do. I said we didn't need to rebuild, we needed to retool when we had Harry Kane. We then sold Harry Kane, probably needed a rebuild. I still was on the mindset of retool, don't rebuild. I was wrong. Hands up, I will say I was wrong. We needed a hell of a rebuild. One of the biggest rebuilds I've seen a Premier League of a bigger Premier League side do in a very long time. You could say Liverpool have done one. Arsenal did one. Arsenal's took them years. Liverpool took them a little while. I wouldn't say Chelsea because Chelsea spent over 1.2 billion. That's not a rebuild. That's just spending your way out. You wouldn't be surprised if we beat them. Morning, Bazza. How are you, mate? If Ange wants to move out Spence, then that is even more we have to buy. Well, look, if he wants to move players, we need to just... Every manager should have the backing of the board to move and bring in players that he wants. We have not given Ange that full support. There's evidence of it. It came out in the summer. We didn't get Eze and we didn't get Gallagher because the wages were too high. If you don't know who's the issue in this club, then I can't point it out any more clearly. But yeah, I think they'll go Sanchez. I think they'll go Cucurella. I think they'll go Colwill. And let's say Disasi for now. Gusto. Obviously, if Fofana is fit, then Fofana will play. Caicedo, Fernandez. I'll go Neto, Palmer, Madueke, and Jackson. Nicolas Jackson is a selection that I think will go for. If Ange carries out a huge rebuild over January and the summer, then fans should give him a chance when he has a full and fit squad. Well, I think people will give him that. I don't think everyone will give him that, sadly. Morning, Liam. How are you, mate? So, what do I think the score line will be? I think Chelsea are going to win this game. I will be real. I said last night that we wouldn't win this game. The only chance we have is Romero plays, and Romero has a Rolls-Royce game where he just annihilates attack after attack after attack, because they will create chances, by the way. They will create chances. As long as everyone's aware and understand this isn't going to be a game that we keep a clean sheet. Chelsea will score on Sunday. But if we're going to have a chance, let's talk about the ability to have a chance. Romero having a Rolls-Royce-like game is going to be massive. Pedro Porro, I think, will have to have a big game at right back, defensively as well as offensively. I think we need a big Pape game. I think we need energy from Pape. I think we need the ability to... Because the ability that Pape has to win the ball higher up and press higher up is really underrated for what we need. And I think the other key thing is the three that are in attack. When Pape wins the ball... Red arrows, absolutely move. I see it a little bit too much. Solanke, I see it with, and Solanke moves. But the two wingers at times, no matter who they are, sort of stand still. They take a touch, they take another touch. They're nice and slow. The amount of times we win the ball and we're on their back four and we let holding mids get back in. We let, wingers get back because we're too slow. And Kulu's too slow. And then Sonny's too slow. Or Johnson or whoever. We definitely need to be quicker in the attack, especially on the counter, because we will get a few opportunities to counter them. And we are very good on the counter attack. It's what you do with it is the key thing. So I think we need a big game from Romero. We need a big game from old Pedro, Pape, and I think one of the attackers needs to go mental. If we're going to have a chance, one of those three in the attack, if it's Son, if it's Solanke, if it's Kulu, hell, if it's Johnson, hell, if it's you or me, one of us has to go absolutely bonkers. They need to dominate the defender they're playing against. They need to, create opportunity after opportunity after opportunity. Hell, they need to score something. They need to be at it. It's so evident we struggle with an injury crisis, but with only a big city club who don't get sympathy for that. Well, we don't cry and bitch and moan about it. But, what I would say is look at our squad, compare it to the other top 6 squads. It's not good enough. It's not good enough. As a starting 11, it's decent. But, and we can handle the odd injury or two. But when you actually look at it, if you're missing as many as we are, it's not going to happen. I've seen a dog knock a ball around better than Spurs last night. Phil Farage, I do as well. I'm young enough to have never seen Spurs win anything. I refuse to believe that Ange is some kind of failure. when we are playing the best football and has us still on all competitions. But he ironically does have us in all competitions. We will know if we stay in all competitions in about just over 2 weeks' time against Manchester United. Is it? No, it's not over 2 weeks' time. I think it's about 10 days' time, isn't it, or something like that? And we will know a lot more about that. But I think Chelsea will win 2-1. I'm going to go Chelsea win 2-1. I just think, I really just think they're in absolute red hot form. They're healthy. They don't have, they might have a few injuries, but they have nothing like Spurs' injury issues. They also have way, way more players to pick from. Yeah, I think they'll win 2-1 because I think they'll just have too many options, and that's the thing here. I think we have some really great players that are starting in that 11. Some, by the way, not all, but we do have nothing behind them to bring them on right now. In the attack, if you don't start Johnson, that's the attacker, him and Timo Werner. Chelsea would have João Felix and Nkunku. Hell, they might even have a Mudryk. There's probably more that I'm not even thinking about. So look, I think they'll go to. It'll be good to see a performance players playing for Ange and the fans. The least they can do is play for the bloody fans, because I've had enough of some of these players who have not turned up for other managers. They need to start turning up, because there is just as much of an issue at the moment as Ange. These players get away scot-free a lot. They need to be held accountable for their performances. Lack of effort is not something coaching can control. That is you as a human. You letting the club down is on you, not on anyone else, not even on Daniel Levy. You can think Levy out or Levy in. Players putting down the tools is on them as human beings, and that's disgusting. They need to turn up. But look, I think 2-1. Let me know what you think down below. Let me know what your starting 11 is and all that stuff below. My goal scorer, give me Pape. Why not? Let's see with that. But obviously, Spurs turn up in the big games at the moment. Let's just see how that works out, shall we? But look, thanks very much for watching. Thanks very much for participating and joining me this morning. Enjoy the rest of your days. Enjoy the rest of your afternoon. Spurs can't ruin this day for you. It's to enjoy your Friday. And I'll speak to you all very soon to speak a little bit more Spurs. Take care, everyone. Peace.